Hey guys, how's it going? We are down here along my west side garden where I wanted to do some fall chores and take you guys along with me and show you guys what I'm doing. This was one of the first garden beds that I had done when we first moved into the house. I'll insert a picture here to show you guys what it looked like before. It really was just a bunch of evergreens lined up along a very old fence. And I ended up building it out a little bit more and expanding it and making it a little bit more to our taste in terms of flowers and things like that. I learned a ton throughout the way in doing this. I think initially when I would go to a garden center, you know, if I had the budget to buy 8 plants, I would buy 8 different plants because it was so exciting to see all that color. And it really made the garden bed look a lot less cohesive. And so I've been trying to correct that ever since I did this 5-6 years ago. And I think I have accomplished it for the most part, but there are still parts of the bed where I feel like could use a little bit more work because it doesn't look as cohesive. So one of my goals for next year as I was walking through is to create more of a drift, which is basically just groupings of plants put together to have more of a natural feel. So moving things around so that they're a little bit closer together. Another thing that happened was that some of the plants seeded throughout the garden, which is great. You want that as the garden matures. But some of the places where they seeded themselves, it just doesn't make sense. But the biggest thing that I want to focus on is those 3 fern leaf buckthorns back there. So I actually originally had 6. I got rid of 3 of them and I left 3 of them. My thought process at the time was, well, maybe they're in a better location and they're going to do better. And they're supposed to be this beautiful full shrub. And I don't know why, it just really doesn't like that spot. And in doing a little bit more research on it, it seems like they don't really like spots where they have a lot of root competition. And right behind them, there are a lot of hydrangeas and there are a lot of shrubs and trees around it in general. And there really isn't a part of my yard where it's not going to have root competition. So I'm just going to pull them out and see if anybody in my neighborhood wants them. And what we're going to do is replace them with red twig dogwoods. So these red twig dogwood So these really provide a lot of winter interest. They get bright red stems in the winter as long as you keep them pruned. So this is something that I would have to prune either selectively or all of it back down to the ground every other year, because otherwise, if you don't keep them pruned, it won't keep its red stems. They don't provide a lot of summer interest. It really is just for the winter interest. Deer also do like them, so I'm going to have to make sure to keep them sprayed like I do much of the rest of my yard that isn't fenced in. They can also get really, really tall if allowed, but if you prune on them, they'll stay the size that you want them to stay. They do get flowers. They're not very significant. You really don't put them in your garden for the flowers or for any other reason other than just winter interest. And I thought these would also be really nice to have because as I'm pruning on them, I can also use them for containers around the holiday time because that provides a really nice extra touch. So we're going to get 2 of these in the ground. We're going to get those buckthorns out, and then we're just going to move a few things around. And then if time allows, I'm also going to pull out some of the elephant's ears and some of the dahlias that we have in the other part of the yard. So let's get started. All right, guys, so here's what I've accomplished so far. I did take a break to go watch my son's baseball game, and now I'm back. But here's what I managed to do so far. I got 2 red twig dogwood in by the fence line. Tomorrow I am going to go grab a 3rd one, just because I think I need one down here to fill this space. So there is actually a hole right here that you're going to see, and I thought, you know, a 3rd would look better here. I did also plant a crepe myrtle. I don't know what variety it is. I did pick it up from Lowe's earlier in the season, but it's got this beautiful fall color that I actually haven't seen from other crepe myrtles. So I put that right in the center. Now, I do know crepe myrtles get rather tall. They grow really, really slow in our area. So I do think that the spot that I picked for it is going to be okay. I have Andersonia that has spread throughout the garden. And that I started to divide a little bit because I want to spread it to the newer parts of the garden over on the east side. So I'm going to be planting that there. I did also remove 2 buddleia from behind this snowbell tree. You couldn't even see it. It really didn't like its spot. It has very clay soil back there, and buddleia does not like to be planted in clay soil. So I'm going to be moving it to a spot that I think it would like a little bit better. And then one of the other things I did was remove an eastern snowball viburnum. The deer were just decimating it, and I was really tired of it. I was tired of always spraying it and them not really caring whether it was sprayed or not. So I had a cage around it, but then I started growing out of the cage, and then I'm just going to move it to the fenced-in part of the yard where they can't get to it. And then, like I had said, penstemon had seeded itself around. And it landed in places where it didn't really make sense. So I split up the clumps and moved them to other areas where I thought they would look nice. And then some of the coreopsis, I just moved in a little bit tighter together to create a drift instead of separate clumps. All right, so the next thing that I want to do is clean out these planter boxes that we have flanking the staircase. The sweet potato vines are just starting to look really tired. They're still pretty full, but you know, you can start to see the leaves changing color. So I might just kind of clean it out because I think I'm tired of it looking so full, and I think I'm craving it to look a little bit more neat and kept. I do have 2 hydrangeas in here that I had kind of stuck in here temporarily this spring. They have gotten eaten up by everything else around it. I do think that I'm going to take that out and plant that someplace else. I just don't know where yet. So for now, I'm going to leave that in here. The Gara, I'm going to cut back. And yeah, the one thing with the sweet potato vine, I have read that you can overwinter I have read that you can overwinter the tubers of the sweet potato vine just like you would dahlias. So I am going to try that this year and see if I can save a little bit of money. Not that they're too expensive, but it might just be a nice thing to experiment with to see how that turns out. So I'm going to try to cut it back and pull it out all in one piece and overwinter it probably in some vermiculite. So here we go. All right, guys, here is where we ended up. So I pulled out the Dichondra Silver Falls, which was really, really happy in there. I had to wrestle with that for a little while. And the sweet potato vines. I did end up finding 4 of these bulbs. I'm gonna try to put it in vermiculite. I'm not sure if it's gonna be worth it, but we'll see. And I was going to go pull some dahlias and some elephant's ear as well, but I'm looking at the 10-day and there is no frost in sight. So I think I'm actually going to leave you guys right here because I got to head inside and make some dinner. Oh, there's my wheelbarrow. Anyway, hope you guys are having a great day and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.